Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hartman. And if you were watching game 3 last night, you know we have a lot to get into. The Timberwolves didn't just win, they physically dictated the terms of that game. We saw the Nuggets try some zone, try to find some gaps, but honestly, the Timberwolves just overwhelmed them. And Jaden McDaniels is the star of the night, backing up his words after game 2. 20 points, 10 rebounds for him. Ayo Dosunmu leads the Wolves with 25. Kind of an off night for Ant and Julius, and they still just punish the Denver Nuggets to take a 2-1 series lead. Game 4, Saturday night at Target Center, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Um, Excited for today's show. Got a new guest coming on to talk about Game 3 and possibly what we could see in Game 4. But before we get to that, want to make sure that everyone, if you aren't already, follow and subscribe. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to have you leave a review if you like what you're hearing. And even if you don't like it, let me know. Let me know what you'd rather hear instead. But really appreciate you all listening. And so without further ado, we have Derek Long from SideLine Vibes Podcast joining today to talk about Game 3 and what could happen in Game 4. So with that, let's get into it. All right, to dig into the X's and O's of the Timberwolves swallowing up Jamal Murray and what needs to happen next in the next game to go take a 3-1 series lead, I wanted to bring in someone who sees the game similar to me. I do, I think, in terms of tactical coaching lens. Joining me today is a fellow coach. You might know him on Instagram as Croonch, and he's the driving force behind SideLine Vibes Podcast. Derek Long, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Great. Thanks for having me. We were talking about before, like you look at your list of people you've had on, some very bright and basketball minds. And so the fact that you asked me to come on and talk some basketball, X's and O's, it's an absolute honor. So,
Oh.
I'm excited. I'm very excited based on our conversations we've had before. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love what you've done. Like, I like some of the stuff I saw on Instagram, like how you're breaking down things. So wanted to kind of think about the next couple games because I'm really trying to figure out what Denver does at this
Mhm.
point. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself either because of the series 2 years ago where it felt like the Wolves were in control and Denver wrestles it back, and we all know how that went. But I wanted to start off just like recapping a little bit of Game 3. Um, Obviously, Jaden's comments were the big story going into it, and he kind of backed it up. Yeah, I was a little nervous. I told you I was a little nervous. Like, is Denver going to come out and just be pissed off? And they just didn't seem to have much of a fight in them. What was your big takeaway from last night's game?
Like I was kind of like, I always like to go the next day after and just kind of like dive back into it and just let the fun of the game kind of just sink in afterwards. And I ended up like just writing down my thoughts of like how it's funny, the quietest guy in the team. I feel like when Jaden says something, it might be true. It was true. It probably is still true, but it also scares the crap out of you. But if you're like a diehard Wolves fan, you either have this sense of like nervousness or you have this sense of like, well, if Jaden's saying it, he's definitely going to back it up.
Yeah.
So I was on the side of like, oh, this is going to be a fun game too, because they're going to come out like all jacked up to help Jaden out, back up his point. Jaden's going to do what he does, and he has a little chip on his shoulder. When Jaden has a chip on his shoulder, it's like, it's terrifying if I'm on the
Mhm.
other team. But, yeah, it was fun to see. It kind of just started off right away, like, with him kind of just like setting the tone on the defensive end and then just pushing transition. And it was just kind of downhill from there.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of felt like to me when you make a goal for yourself, you have to write it down, right? Like,
Hmm.
or you have to tell people about it to hold you accountable. And I felt like he was almost saying, like, we're going to do this and I'm going to tell the world we're going to do this. So you guys need to do that. Like, we need to all do this together. And, for whatever, he may not be the leader of the team, but it certainly felt like everyone followed that in game 3.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun when like at that post game, like I think it was Io. Yeah. He said, Like we had to back up our boy. Like we had to. Like he said what he said. Like we're gonna do it.
Mhm.
Nas before the game was like talking about how like some guys just they need certain things to like kind of like bring them up a whole nother level. And as we've seen in these last couple playoff runs, like Ant does the same thing as Jaden. Jaden obviously less and quieter than Ant, but Ant he's calling out everybody. Like it's just how he gets. That's just how he gets going, and that's this team has tried to tell us this all years. Like once we get to the playoffs, we're gonna figure it all out. That switch that they've been talking about flipping. Um, I think after game at least so far it exists, and so yeah, it's just been fun. It was a fun game. I love when like a guy if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk it, and I think he did that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of his best performances, I mean, maybe ever, like just 20 and
Mhm.
10, but more so even just like the impact. It felt like the crowd almost seemed to back him on it. Like every time Murray started struggling, the crowd would rise and like get in, and they were just like, "We got you. We got you, Jaden. Like we can see it." So it was kind of like, when you're in a gym and the other team starts clapping and all the
Oh yeah.
kids are getting ramped up, like that's what it felt like with 18,000 behind them. And yeah, like Denver, I thought they'd go more zone. They did play a fair amount of zone, and I think the Wolves fell into that trap a little bit, right? Like they took a couple of shots where you're like, they're baiting you to take these outside shots. But I think what impressed me in this game was that it didn't stick as long as it did in like game one, where it would be 6, 8 minutes of just struggling to score. This game, at like couple possessions were not great, and then I think it was Julius maybe that got it at the elbow and
Mhm.
just downhill, and nobody stopped him, and then it kinda got him going again. Um, do you see anything from Denver's side on what they could do? Because right now, it just seems like they don't have the personnel.
It's I think this whole series comes down to that personnel at this point. Um, it's always interesting the first couple games, kind of seeing the teams figure out like how they're going to try to approach it. The Wolves after game one, it looked like they kind of just decided, all right, we're attacking the middle of the floor, we're getting downhill. They've been running this ghost action, um, where it's like a 4-out ghost action when they put Rudy or Randall or Nas down, or even Jaden down in like kind of like the dunker spot, and they just been doing ghost screen, pick and pop, like the little get action where they pitch it in and then go chase it, pitch
Mhm,
and chase. And they they've been just hammering that action all series from that point on because they figured out, all right, if we attack the middle of the floor, we either get a wide open layup or everybody's packing in and we're gonna kick it out. And we're a really good like spot up shooting team, one of the best in the league. And Denver's also that, but like on the flip side of that, we're doing a good job of kind of containing their spot up shooting, which has been a struggle. But back to what our point is here um on that end, like what they could do differently. The only thing they haven't done is tried to just hard show, hard trap, hard switch. They've been just kind of stuck in this drop coverage look. Um and I'm honestly shocked that they didn't try something this game. I think maybe they thought like they'd be okay just kind of running it back. Maybe game two was not was kind of like a fluky thing for them, but like it just kind of surprises me that they haven't really tried anything else. Or maybe the coaches just kind of think that they don't have anything else to push and they just hope that we're gonna go miss some shots, because that seems like Denver's MO. I don't know. They're clearly not dedicated to try to be like a very solid defensive team, and they're hoping that just that outscore you on the other end. And so it's going to be interesting to see. The zone came out a little bit too late, I thought. Like, if I'm Adelman, I probably look back at that game and go, man, I probably should have tried that zone a little sooner,
mhm.
because it did look like it stymied us for a little bit. Um, but again, like you said, Randall's really good against those zones because he operates in the perfect spot for that, in like a two
Mhm.
three three two where he gets the ball at the elbow. That's just like where he thrives. And so I don't know what you do. It might just come down to just they just don't have the guys.
Yeah. Even when they score, the Wolves were able to get out and fast break, which this was probably the first game where I've think a lot of us probably have been talking about, like, they need to win fast break points, and they haven't always won it, but, this game, it felt like
Mhm.
they made a concerted effort, and that was kind of like another glaring component to this of how much more athletic and fast the Wolves are. Like Adelman, I think burned 2 timeouts on things like that where we were just beating them down the court, and it's like, well, yeah, man, you got Jokic out there trying to keep up with these guys. That ain't
Mhm.
gonna work. And Io's best game by far. Like he looked phenomenal, but it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything schematic. It's just a lot of pace and getting to the rim. And the wild thing is, and this is I want to talk about this later, but the advantage we have right now is so glaring in athleticism and speed across the board, but it won't be the advantage if you play the Spurs or the Thunder. And so like I was just going to the rim on Jokic, no problem. Like not even hesitating, not even thinking about it. But long term, I don't know if that's going to be, they're going to have to find other ways to do things in the next series, no matter who they play. But yeah, I don't know. Denver can try to outscore them, but the Wolves are getting so many easy baskets that it's like, the Wolves don't have to work on offense and they won't get tired on defense either.
Yeah, and I think something unlocked, like with your point about transition, like something in game 2 unlocked for them when they realized how tired Denver looked at the end of that game
Yeah.
versus us, and that's in Denver. And so as a staff, I'm sure they're like, hey, look at how tired they are at the end of this game. If you can push it, you're going to have an advantage. We're going to get at least 10 points in advantage in transition. If you're looking to do that. Whereas game 1, it felt like they were just trying to feel it out, feel the playoffs out. And you haven't seen that the last 2 games, which is great, I think. And fans have been wanting that all year, and Finch
Yeah.
has been wanting that all year. He says it after every game. Think our pace was a little down. Think our pace is a little
Yeah.
down. He wants them to be moving, but yeah, it's gonna take it took a while for us to get to that point because Ant and Randall they want to operate at a different speed, which is good. It's good to have different like kind of speeds that you can go to if you need to. And so again, it comes down to the amount of levers you have, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I talked with Andrew Dukowitz from Zone
Mhm.
Coverage about was roster flexibility. And the Wolves can play different ways. Like when I look at Denver, you were talking about, Jokic and Murray, that's like all they can do, right? Like if they don't get their advantage in that pick and roll action, there isn't. I know they've been going a little bit of the pin downs for Jokic, Murray getting on the wider side of the court, coming across the middle instead of at, top of the key, but they don't have another point guard.
Mhm.
So like even when the Wolves want to play a little faster, you bring in Io or Bones, the Nuggets don't even have another ball handler. So I'm kind of thinking like, I don't know. I mean, I know Jokic will bring the ball up or Aaron Gordon when he's healthy, he will a little bit, but that's not the same. It's not like you're changing your flow or your pace. So it's just, they're kind of like stuck with this is the group and they have to win a certain way where I think the Wolves have just multiple ways to defend and multiple ways to play offense. And I just don't know what Denver's going to do next game.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think what's really there's been a lot of talk about like our offense, and which it's been great in the last 2 games, but like what we're doing to them defensively is there's been some debate about whether or not they're just missing shots versus us just like what we're forcing. And I have like a little snippet video out on Twitter somewhere. I probably should post it on like whatever social media things are. But it kind of what the game plan seems like against Denver, and I think we do a good job of guarding them over the years. And it's like, what do they like to do? They like to finish at the rim, easy like backdoor cuts and corner threes. Those are what those guys like 3 through 15 are. That's their job on this team, is to be able to knock down open shots, be able to um, read and cut to the hoop. Jokic and Murray are going to do their own 2-man game. But I feel like how we're guarding it is like what has made this series what it is. And part of it is our personnel is able to do it. And the other part is that it's just an incredible like thought process for how you're going to stop it. Like it's very scary to just give guys open shots and make Murray be able to shoot certain shots and making Jokic have to shoot a bunch of threes. He doesn't want to do that. He's a very smart basketball player. He's like, if I'm shooting like 10 threes a game, that's not going to put us in a good a good spot. I don't like that's probably what goes through his head, and so he kind of has to like overthink, and I don't know. It's causing problems. We're taking away the corners, we're taking away cuts, where they're down to just one action. They're just constantly running. Basically, it's that
Yeah.
down screen for Murray to come up and get a dribble handoff. Gobert is able to guard two. Murray, Io are coming off that screen. Sometimes Dante even, and they're trailing well and forcing them to shoot like a bunch of shots that they just don't want to shoot.
Yeah.
And that's just been the game. That's just been the series so far. And I don't know how you adjust that. That's just like that's just what they do. What I would do
Yeah.
is probably do a little bit like Spain actions in the
Mm.
middle of the court, because that's gonna be super hard to guard. But I hope they don't do that.
Yeah.
Personally.
But that's true. If they did that, I suppose then I wonder if the Wolves would put Dante on the ball and Jaden, as the guy who's defending that Spain
Yeah.
screen, because then he'd be on the back end.
Hmm.
But that's again, like the Wolves have too many
Yeah.
parts. I think. I said I think it was after the game last night, or maybe it was just in my own head, but like who on the Nuggets, so say, you get your Jokic Murray action and the Wolves rotate a little bit too slow. Who on the Nuggets is breaking the paint? Who's attacking downhill? Like Christian Braun, maybe? Is he the
Well.
only one? Like Johnson and Hardaway aren't doing anything like that. Spencer Jones doesn't do anything like that. So you just kind of are that group. And that's where, yeah, I just think they're in a really tough spot. They might come out and Murray and Jokic might each drop 40 and they might win a game.
Hmm.
That's the scary part about it, is they can get it going. But you talked about the backdoor cuts. I think, and you maybe more than this, but like I imagine a lot of that is on double teams on Jokic, and the Wolves just don't
Yeah.
have to do it. So
Hmm.
they're just staying home. And Jokic doesn't want, he had what, 3 assists last night? Like that to me was almost more impressive than his field goal shooting,
Yeah.
because that means he can't do anything. Like all of his skill set is taken away if he can't score, and then now he can't even find open guys, or they're not making shots, or they can't get cuts, whatever it is. 3 assists for him, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, you nailed it with if he's not able to do, that's what makes Jokic so good. It's like you pick your poison,
Mhm.
and the Wolves kind of have eliminated the picking of the poison. It's like, this is what we're doing, and you're gonna have to figure it out. And they're just kind of like out of right now. It looks like they're kind of out of options, and the only option is, all right, we need Murray to make a bunch of shots. We need Jokic to make a bunch of shots, and right now they're not making a bunch of shots, and so
Yeah.
that's why it looks the way it does. And now they're frustrated. But again, like you said, you can expect there's going to be a scoring burst from one of those two, if not both of them, in one of these games coming up. But I could still see the Wolves being in those games versus in the past. It might have felt like even 2 years ago when we played them, it felt like if Jokic and Murray had like a big game, it was probably a blowout in that
Yeah.
game. And that's what that series was like. Even though it went to 7, it was blowout after blowout because both teams kind of didn't have the personnel to kind of to do what the Wolves are doing this year, and that's just a credit to kind of how they've built their team. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they're gonna adjust that and how they're gonna attack it. But
Yeah.
they didn't do much of adjustment from game 1 to game 2, so it kind of worries me a little bit if I'm a Nuggets fan.
Right. Agreed.
um, yeah.
Yeah, and Adelman, he called those 2 timeouts. He was more animated. I think that
Hmm.
was kinda the thing with him, was he's very calculated and analytical and stays pretty calm, but man, he was not happy. I don't know. That's where, like, Finch gets a lot of crap from fans, but I've never personally wavered on him. I think he's
No,
great,
I love
and I
him.
think he is absolutely killing this matchup. And again, the personnel is in the Wolves' favor for most of the positions, but he's pushing the right buttons. Like last night, you're at home, your players generally play better at home, and Bones came in and made shots, and Io played great. You know, we haven't even talked about Ant and Julius, because they
Yeah.
were kind of just Julius had some good moments. Ant hit his above the break 3 early, like, that he does, but neither of them are playing like out out of their minds. The Wolves are doing this with Jaden and Rudy and Io and Bones and Dante. So there's just the stars aren't even shining. So, if
Mhm.
Jokic and Murray get going, there's a chance it gets going. You know, because I think he's probably doing as much as he needs to do in these games. Like last night, obviously foul trouble and didn't need a lot from him. So the Wolves have more buttons to push too, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about Io a little bit more because I think he to me was. I mean, the fact that I don't think he finished top 5 and 6 man of the year voting, like, he's been phenomenal. I think he's averaging, like, 15 points a game, shot over 40% from 3. Just phenomenal last night in the pace and, again, attacking the rim, but he also had 9 assists, led the
Yeah.
team. What do you see from Io that's just, like, getting incrementally better in these 3 games that he's been playing?
I think with him, and this is what's really fun, is we kind of like been looking for like a Nah replacement this year, and I think we got one with Io, with the guy who just kind of brings the spark off the bench. The thing that's the difference between him and Nah is that Io kind of fits what we want to do more as a team, getting downhill. And for this series specifically, it took till game 3 to kind of for him to feel more confident. I feel like
Mhm.
this was a perfect example of why we got him. Is his ability to get downhill, his ability to push in transition, his playmaking is very underrated, I think. Um, he's finding guys. He's willing to pass it to Rudy, which is a whole nother conversation. Which is a hot topic issue, but
Yep.
I think his ability, uh, I want to use ability because he's just throwing the ball to somebody, but like his willingness to do that has kind of opened up everything, and um, which has been great. He's just been a phenomenal addition to our team. At 25, he didn't even make a 3 last night. I'm just looking at his box score here: 10
Yeah.
for 15 from 2, and yeah, it's nice to have that, like, especially with like Ants. It takes a little bit of pressure off of like Ant, and it takes a little bit of pressure off of even Randall, even Jaden at times. Even Nas having to put a lot on his shoulders as being a bench scorer. We needed kind of the one more guy who's going to be constant at like all 3 levels and off that bench, and I think he's done a great job of that. Plus, the playmaking helps quite a bit. He could be that point guard of the future that Wolves have been talking
Yeah.
about for years.
Yeah. I was kinda advocating maybe, like, 3, 4 weeks before the end of the year that he start because Dante's not a facilitator and Ant isn't I mean, he can make the right reads, we always talk about that, he's getting better at that, but he's just not a point guard, and Io comes in and he's just lightning in a bottle, man, like, he's pushing it, he's getting guys in the right spot. I think, depending on what the offseason situation is, like, I think most people are ready to, like, resign him right now.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's great. He's not as good at navigating screens as Nah, and not as I don't know, but he kinda does a little bit more, like you said, like, he fits what we needed, um, a little bit better, and then, again, you can play him with Dante and Ant. You could play him and Bones together. You just have, like, options, and I think you brought up a good point. You had Nas on the bench, was pretty reliable, but Bones was super hit and miss.
mhm,
And so, like, when he's going, he's great, but you needed another really reliable guy off the bench who could and neither Bones nor Nas are great on defense. So the fact that you get someone he's a plus defender, and he's reliable on offense is just yeah. It it is starting to feel a little bit more like the 2 years ago
yeah,
Wolves with the defense. Um, just maybe it's the series, it's just bringing that back that nostalgia, but, yeah, they put it together. I mean, Connolly, did it in
yeah,
Denver.
yeah.
He's put together a pretty good roster right now for the Wolves.
Yeah, with Io's defense too, like his screen navigation. Buddy at Wolf Eye Stats tweeted out his navigate, like I think he was like 4th in the league in like navigation, which I don't know how that's stat is kind of uh figured out, but watching it makes sense. Obviously, you just remember him being so like slippery and slithery.
Yeah,
I think with Io, the difference between him and is just the physicality part of it, where Io
right.
can guard more of a range of guys versus Na was really good against like a Jamal Murray, who's just not
Yeah.
super physical, but like very shifty, and he was great against that matchup. Whereas Io can guard a Murray and also can guard a Doncic if we needed to, which that should give Wolves fans a little bit more what's the word trust in maybe like how far this team could go if things are clicking in the right way. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here, but like I've been saying this all year for the Wolves, and it's kind of like we just are our own worst enemy at times, and I think we have the talent, the ceiling to be a contender. And again, this is kind of showing that a little bit. A lot of series left. I don't want to discredit Denver's very smart basketball team and obviously very talented, but I think it's it's gonna be a tough one for them to kind of figure out what they can do against these guys right now.
And don't worry, we're fans. We're not part of
Yeah.
the team. There's no jinxes happening here. Nobody
I don't
nobody
believe
on
in
the
jinxes
Wolves
though.
is listening. Yeah. They're not listening to this anyway. We could talk all we want about. Let's break down the Spurs Wolves matchup right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't realize Iowa was fourth. I don't know how you calculate that stat, but that's pretty impressive. I'm assuming Na is number one.
Yeah, Nas
But
up there.
yeah, okay.
Jaden's
Okay.
sneakily up there too. I wish I had the tweet for.
He's been better in this series. I think game one he was a little bit not quite on his game on that part, but he has been more connected to Jamal these last two games on the screens and using his length. Part of it is Rudy, right? Like Rudy's it's one of those underrated things is like they're not getting many of those pocket passes to Jokic because
zero of them.
the length of Rudy and Jaden together is just taking away that angle and that space to make it. So
yeah, they made one little adjustment that. Sorry, I mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
They made one little adjustment that I noticed, and I talked about this in my like preview thing about picking up like Rudy's drop needs to be like a little bit higher, and I'm sure they talked about it, and Rudy did a great job of adjusting it, but more like staying with it before instead of dropping so far down on the initial screen, so it looks more like something in between like a hard drop and like a soft show. Just pick it up a little bit higher so it forces the ball handler to like stop for just a second so that our guy can get through, because Jokic is really good at screens and you have to like really go around to get around him. And so we always find ourselves on the backside of it. But Rudy, in game one, he was really far back, just trying to protect the paint. And Murray was getting like all those like elbow jumper, and then just kind of opened up everything else. Versus now Murray has to stop. Our guy gets back in position. Now he's shooting like more fanned out shots. He's not getting downhill as much. And that's just kind of a little adjustment that they made that has made like a huge difference. But yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's why you're on here, Derek. That's the kind of stuff I think I saw you post something or say something about that. And I thought that was really important because that is something that they typically get against most teams is that pocket pass to Joker, and then he either hits a floater or somebody has to help in, and then he's kicking it out and making shots. So, between Jaden and Rudy, who had the better game last night defensively?
Oh gosh, both. I gotta say Rudy just for the fact that he has to guard Jokic, and it has only to do with that. But both of them played phenomenal defense. That Rudy block, the pin block on Jokic, that brought like almost tears to my eyes. That was like the most beautiful thing, because I feel like a lot of times too, Jokic probably gets that foul, and I'm sure Denver fans are like, "How is this not a foul? Look at all this contact!" And it's like, you know what? I don't feel bad at all. But God, both of them are good. Like Jaden was just an absolute menace on the defensive end, and so God, if I had to pick one or the other. Maybe I would say Jaden just for the I know I just flipped my answer.
Yeah.
Jaden for the fact that like he's had a solid series obviously defensively, but he set the tone for how we were going to defend last night, and so Rudy's been doing his thing all series. So that I would say Jaden for game 3 if I had to pick.
Yeah. He came out ready. I mean, that's what's great about his comments. He backs it up. He's the one playing. From the get-go, gets the and one dunk on the fast break. I mean, it was phenomenal. Loved it. you brought this up earlier, and I meant to go further on it, but I think you're 100% spot on about them being exhausted. I think
Mhm.
Jokic and Murray, we're putting them in every action. Like we're making Jokic have to guard. And last night, it's crazy to me that a 7-footer is like backing away from a guard attacking the hoop. But there was multiple times where Jokic is like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to
Yeah.
even attempt to come over and help or block the shot. And and you saw it in like in game 2, home game, they're just dead at the end of it. And I think that's, again, great in this series. I don't know if that translates to the next opponents you might play, but there is a relentlessness about Jaden and Rudy, but kind of the whole team. But they're just in such great shape. They don't look tired. Rudy, I can't remember the last time I thought, man, he looks tired. Like he's
Yeah.
just killing it both ends.
Yeah. I I always have this debate with people about like end of the regular season, like rest versus like trying to get some momentum. And I've gotten a lot of arguments with my friends about this year. Is like everyone was like, "Man, our vibes are horrible going into the postseason. Like we have guys hurt, we're resting. Like does the seed not matter?" And like in this climate of the NBA and especially in the Western Conference, I don't think that seed matters at this point. Like obviously we would love to be a 1 or a 2 seed, but sometimes the cards just don't fall that way. Especially
Hmm.
with like I feel like we've had some bad luck injury wise this year compared to like the last couple of years. You can make that argument, whatever. And I'm sure people still disagree with me, and that's fine. But you can see kind of it's maybe a little bit of that like we have a little bit more rest than they were kind of pushing the foot like pedal to the metal to the end trying to get that 2 seed. Versus I just think we were just more physical of a basketball team. And so
Yeah.
it's a combination of the two, I think, but it was just shocking to see after that game too that how gassed they were on their home floor,
Hmm.
and that was a story the last couple of years of us going into Denver and being tired and being talking about how tired they are or we are, and it's just interesting to see that kind of flip this year. Um, but yeah, it comes down to that depth. I was actually shocked that Valanciunas didn't even play. He was so bad in game 2. I don't
No,
think he played in game 3.
no.
And Zeke Naji, shout out to Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
He had some good minutes. They're really missing like Peyton Watson. I think that's just kind of the big.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked he wasn't able to play at the start of the series, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, he'd be very helpful for them right now.
Yeah.
So we got lucky a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, if Gordon's back, and I don't know if Watson, if they've ruled him out for the whole series, or if he's like kind of game to game. I think they had him at questionable going into game 3. So like, if they come back for game 5, and that things can change. But um, any other positives you want? There was one kind of negative that I wanted to get into, but
Mhm.
anything else that kind of stood out? I mean, we could kind of go down the list. There's a lot of great performances, but
Yeah, it's after a game like this, you can just go on and on and on about. But our coaching perspective, I don't think you ever feel really
no,
good about anything. So this is going to be a
no,
good part of the pod to listen to here.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about like some of the non-Jokic minutes. Like you mentioned Zeke Naji. Like when he came in, that I think he had a positive plus minus for the Nuggets. He might have been the only player on the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But there was the lack of focus for a stretch there again. I think they got it down to 13 and fans a little bit uneasy, but obviously the Wolves were in control of the game. Um, so I thought, maybe the rebounding at times wasn't always great. I think we ended up out rebounding them pretty substantially. But to me, the biggest thing these last 2 games, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the positive of being aggressive and really physical, but the fouling. Again, Denver really smoked us at the free throw line last night, and maybe that's just because we're actually contesting shots versus like free runners go. But I mean, Nas was in foul trouble. Ant was in foul trouble. I think Rudy was kind of flirting with some foul trouble. Do you think the fouling is an issue, or do you think it's just a part of how they're playing right now?
I think fouling has always been an issue with this team, and part. I'm just trying to look up the stat really quick about our opponent free throw rate. because it kind of tells that story definitely throughout the season here. Yeah, we were 25th on opponent free throw rate on the year. That's not that shows a lot in this series, especially because the fouling has been an issue, and I think the hard part is because you watch other teams play, like Oklahoma City, and it's like, okay, well, do they get called for a lot of fouls? No. Do they give up a lot of free throws? No. But like, why is that the case if they're just as physical? And I think Wolves players, I'm just like, this is my speculation. I think that they think they get like kind of an unfair fair whistle, and they part of it is like how you handle it, like mentally. Like, I think we're not great at that. That's not a skill we're great at. Finch is like a Division I ref hater. He does not like refs. He has not made that like. Part of it comes from that coaching part of it. Like if you're thinking the refs are out to get you, your players are going to start thinking that as well. And so it's kind of like a culture thing, which there's some pros to that and some cons. And you saw last night was kind of a pro where it's like we were able to play physical. Our identity is we want to play physical. They're going to let, if the reffing group is going to let us play physical, that is what it is. But there's kind of like a technique thing that I've noticed with the Wolves where we're always late into trying to like be aggressive on the ball. Nas, I mean, what we're asking him to do is kind of tough, is like guard a lot of these like smaller, faster players, and he's like 6'10" and traditionally kind of like a post size, and has kind of trying to figure out his way defensively, but he kind of goes for the ball way too late. The shot, like your player's already kind of in a position, and you're trying to go and tip the ball, but at that point, that's like the ref's easily able to like make that decision versus on the drive. And this is what I've been trying to coach up our kids at the high school level to do, is on the drive, that's when you have to be active with your hands. And that's going to look like kind of like going for a tip, going for the ball on the drive as the offensive player is like coming into you or going into you. If you're going for that ball late, it's probably a 50-50 chance you get a foul, or they're just going to make it. So I think that's one thing I've noticed with this Wolves team, is that their contests at the rim are the kind of the reason, because sorry, I'm going on this huge soapbox with how we defend. We from the beginning of the year, Finch made it a point, like we want our point of attack defense to be like up. And if you notice with our guys, like even if they're not have a good matchup, they're up and just pressing, because we have Rudy behind us. We're able to be more aggressive on the perimeter. We don't want to give up a bunch of threes. We don't want to give up anything. We want to kind of set the tone. But with that style, you sometimes can feel a little bit more like I have to make like more active hand plays, and it's just the timing of the whole when you go for that ball versus like when you just have to wall up at the end. Like I would love to see Nas do a little bit more of like, you're so tall, you get to that point where that guard's got you in a spot, just put your hands up. Don't go for that tip late, because then that's when the arm gets tangled up. And sorry, I'm using a lot of hand motions right now, and but I don't know. That's my little soapbox of the Wolves like fouling situation. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting, which I think that explains a lot of why there's the defensive rating is so different with Rudy on and off the court, because you probably get in these habits of forcing drives, funneling things to the basket. But when Rudy's not on the court, you don't have a shot blocker. Now, Baron J, if he's the backup big next year and Rudy's playing 30 minutes and Johan's playing, whatever, 15, 18, that might change a lot, right? Like now you still have that back end protection. We actually did this. We had a kid in high school who was 6'9", and we played the same way. It was like, keep them off the paint, be aggressive on the 3-point line. If they get by you, fine, but just rotate and figure it out, because you had 6'9" behind you that could block every shot. The problem is when Rudy's not on the court and you still do that, now you don't have that, and you're going to get burned big time, because guys have created this habit of playing it that way. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think we're undisciplined sometimes defensively. Like when we rotate, and like last night, there was a couple possessions where we were doing it again, where it's just flying around, just super active. But you get against a team that could kind of do that and control, and then break the paint, attack the rim.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to get some fouls on you. Denver's not really that team. So that's kind of why I think we can get away with it. But I mean, they doubled us up in free throw attempts last night.
Yeah.
The fact that we won by 17 and lost the free throw battle by 16,
It's
and
good.
we didn't even shoot the three well. Like we
No.
were 9 for 34, so it's like we just dominated every other aspect so much. But no, I think you're probably right. Like Nas is not the most, he's lost weight, so he could be a little
Mhm.
quicker, but it's still tough for him to guard a 6'8" wing, um, in a lot of cases. So,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
I think Finch and the staff did a great. I don't. Again, I always like to. I say Finch because he's the leader of the coaching staff, but like you sometimes don't know like who's coming up with some of these ideas too. So I don't want to like just say it's all Finch because that'd be disservice for all these assistant coaches out there. I want to give them their
right,
flowers
right.
too because sometimes
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff happens behind the scenes. It doesn't get the credit, and that's okay. But with the non-Rudy, there was a lot of like discussion at the beginning of the year with non-Rudy defensive lineups. Nas and Randall, they were like non-existent defensively, and they were still trying to do a lot of the things like going over and doing a drop coverage with like Randall or Nas, and both those two guys are not good at that drop coverage. They're
Mhm.
just not like, you have to be very, I hate to say this, like very instinctual, very like you have to be calculated with that, and that's just kind of not really their game, which is okay. Um and Rudy's like incredible at that. So if you're trying to keep that same identity, you have to have guys who are just like Rudy be able to do that, if that makes sense. Those two guys are not like that, and that's fine. So they made an adjustment by like, hey, we're just gonna switch
Mhm.
screens and switch handoffs with this group. And so that's made a huge difference. And we jumped from, we were like pretty low ranked defensive team in like the first couple months of the season. And then we ended up being like top 5, top 6 at certain points going into the playoffs. And that's part of that is just switching with that second group. Where you run into some problems is where if you do that switch, Nas, not the quickest foot lateral speed guy. So if he gets matched up on like a Christian Braun, for example, who's pretty quick to the hoop, that's when you're going to see those like situations. But obviously, there's ways you can learn to kind of defend at a higher level at the rim there. But I think that's just our best bet with that group. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that goes back to playing multiple ways, right? Like even when Kyle's been in a few times,
yeah,
they're blitzing the ball screens and like doubling, and then we got a couple steals. I think game 2 we had one.
yeah,
And like, it might be a play or two here and there, but like when you're going with the non-Rudy minutes, if you can hold serve, that's a win, I think,
yeah,
at that point. And so yeah, it's there's a lot of these little like nuanced coaching moves that you got to do with your personnel. And not to bring it back to Denver, but like we have more
yeah,
options. And
yeah.
they might have the best player in the series. They probably have the third best player in the series. But we probably have 4, 5, 6 at this point,
Mhm.
and more versatility. So, um, anything else negative? Like you said, we're coaches. We're always looking to
Yeah.
improve. What was that negative that you saw in the game? Because there was a lot of positives.
Gosh. I think sometimes with like shot selection, obviously
Hmm.
that's always a big like just
Yes.
across the NBA, when especially when you get a lead, it's like that shot selection. This is the number one thing that drives coaches crazy because it's like you have this lead, you guys are doing what we're asking you to do,
Yeah.
the game plan's working great, and now we're just gonna kind of like, all right, it's my time. That's what's the beauty of basketball, is like the individuality also tied in with the team aspect of it. And like you have guys like Ant and Randall who they need to they need to feel value by putting up those numbers because they feel like
Yeah.
that's we're the leaders of the team. I gotta score a bunch. I gotta get myself going so I can help my team out. I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm helping them out, but the, that part of it kind of just like you see those stalled moments where if we weren't playing defense at such a high level, that might have came back to kind of bite us in the butt a little bit. But um, yeah, I would say those moments.
Yeah.
What stood out to you in those moments there?
Well, I think you're right. I think the best thing that happened to the Wolves in that stretch was Ant got another foul and had to go out
Yeah,
because he came in and you could tell he was trying to get his. He took a 3 or 2, within there. And after we had just been up and down, and it was like, "Oh, come on, man. Like, what are we doing?" And he picks up another foul, and it's like, "Okay, back to the way we were playing before a little bit." So, yeah, It is goofy. That's like the Wolves get the maturity thing comes up a lot with them, and I think those are the things. But I'm not so worried if it happens a couple times.
Yeah.
It's when it's like 4 or 5 minute stretches where they're just not figuring it out, and that's how game one went.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this game, it seemed like, all right, I think Finch even put Kyle in against that zone for a minute or two just to get the ball moving because he knew like Kyle can facilitate from the elbow and the free throw line and like that. Just those little things. Like Finch didn't seem to be waiting as long, so 100% agree with you. Like every fan is like tense in those moments. You're like, what is happening? Do not blow this lead.
Yeah.
But they, I think, recovered better than we've seen them do many times in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a credit to Finch too. His rotate, like it's not even rotations when it gets to into that like that middle part of that game. Once everyone's kind of got their normal minutes to start the game, it's like, all right, now we need more of this. We need more of this. We need more of this. We need less of this. So we got to grab a guy and take him out. We'll kind of put him in different spots. And he's done an incredible job of that this series. And yeah, I mean, this is like where he earns his money is the playoffs, in my opinion. But yeah, like the good thing I would say, again, I'm going back and forth between negatives and the positives, is from the second quarter of game 2 on, I've loved seeing Ant and Randall be more like decisive on that catch, because that seems like our biggest, like when we run into a wall, it's they catch and stop. And shout out to I can't remember it's a transforming basketball. They talk about dominoes, and how when you catch, you want to just go from there and then kick it out. And that's kind of the basis of our offense, is a lot of like we have like a pick and roll, a dribble handoff, and then it's read and react from there. Catch it, you're either shooting, you're catching, or you're attacking, or you're catching and passing right away. There's no like this 0-second decision. It's like you catch it and you're going. There's no like I'm gonna catch and like kind of read my matchup, jab, jab, jab. Whereas Ant and Randall, you kind of see that sometimes. And you saw that in game 1, and then you look at game 2, where they just catch and win at it. And game 3, even they're catching and going at it. So that process is there. It's just more so it's tough when there's like the scoring's happening, but like I want to score too, but this is what I do. And so it is that kind of like juxtaposition of like finding that balance. And I think they'll be fine throughout the series, because there's going to be times we need both those guys to step up big time, and that could be a difference in the series.
Right. And I think that gets down to like crunch time, maybe end of shot clock or something, and you still have that in your bag. But when I get frustrated with this is when it's right off the right across the timeline, and it's pound, between the legs, step back, fake, like it's like 6 moves. It's like, no, you can get that in 10 seconds. Just let's move it. Let's get it side to side. Let's get it swung. Good to great shots. Like not, obviously Ant with almost any shot's a good shot, but like, he's getting better at it, I think. But I think that's when it bogs down. 100%. You're right. Like it's just, and I think we all see it, and you're like, what? And that's what's frustrating about this team is we all see it. We all know what they should do. They should attack the rim every time. But then they're just like, we're bored. Let's see if this shot can go in. Let's get this day. Like Bowens hits 130 footer. He tries another one 2 minutes later. It's like, come on, man. That shot, the first one that went in when he had Spencer Jones on skates, was absolutely awesome. I yelled so long, my son came running downstairs. He's like, what happened?
That's one of those shots, like if that doesn't go in, you're probably not seeing Bones for the rest of the night. And it goes in and you're like, this is why we have Bones. This is it right here. No, I love it. I love it. I would say one like tiny little thing is like where fans, and the frustration is definitely warranted, and I agree with it 100%. I always try to look at like, okay, why are they playing a certain way throughout the regular season? Like, and this is why, honestly, I think that they play the way they play throughout the season is because it's kind of prepping them for the playoffs. And like how we play offense during the regular season is kind of how playoff offense works, is like you can't really run all these like elaborate sets because the teams just know everything about everybody at that point. You're locking into one opponent. You can't just run like a bunch of different actions. You're not really going to get anything out of those. You kind of have to have your guys figure out how to get advantages and then just capitalize on those advantages. And so
Mhm.
that sometimes looks a little slower with Anthony Randall, and that's happens in the regular season. And that just doesn't equate to like really solid regular season basketball. 'Cause it's a little bit different, I think. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think the frustrating part as fans is you invest your time, you go to a game,
Mhm.
and you kinda see them not play great, but I have been kinda saying all year, like, they've earned some equity.
Yeah.
You know, you go to 2 Western Conference Finals, I'm kind of like, I trust you a little bit when you say there's a switch. I trust you that, you know, you're gonna get it going. I trust Ant saying, you know, I watched him play defense during the regular season. I'm like, "This guy could not care less about defense at this point."
Yeah.
And now he's blocking shots, chase down blocks. Like, he's still not a amazing defender, but he's better, and, you know, he's playing on one knee. So I do think they've earned that where it's like, "Hey, it's time. We're gonna dial things in. We've got the right mix." I mean, as coaches, we know, like, during the regular season, you gotta try some things. You try different lineups. "Hey, we're gonna run this set and see if it works." And if it works in a game in December and you can get a, you know, maybe you missed the shot, you lose the game by 1, but hey, we can go back to that and we're
Mhm.
gonna use it later when it matters. And so I think all of that is part of it. It's hard. It's 82 games, man. How do you stay locked in? Like, none of us are perfect in our jobs with our effort. Like, it's just reality. And
Yeah.
I think if the payoff is better preparation for the playoffs, we'll all take that trade off, right?
Yeah, of 100%. And it's like I think of like a 26 game season for like high school basketball and how many times it's high school boys. So it's like you're definitely not going to have a strong level of focus night in, night out to begin with. I know it's a contrasting thing, but like at the end of the day, in basketball is like sometimes you show up and you don't feel like you got it, and then your attitude might go a certain way. It's just such a like an emotional game.
Hmm.
Um, and we're a very emotional team, and we could be a very moody team at times here as the Wolves. As I
Yep.
say we, I mean the Wolves. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So game 4 tomorrow. It's Saturday night. It's 7:30, so we're not super late anymore, which is nice for that one. Um, what are you expecting out of this game? Because I could see this going really either way. I think this is going to be a really tight one.
This is a throw everything at the. This is an all out for Denver. Like you have to get this one. If you
Hmm.
don't, it's gonna be really tough. So I actually think they might come out with the zone um
Oh, to start the game.
to start the game because I think they just want to get us out of our flow. It kind of affected us a little bit, but we figured it out. That's their only. I Otherwise they're just hard. The other thing they haven't tried is a hard trap, hard show, which we've just absolutely destroyed this year against when teams have done that. So it's kind of like the only thing I can guess is just they're going to try to throw a junk zone at us and hope that we come out cold and then play it from there. Um, but yeah, this is gonna be definitely like a 48-minute slugfest.
Yeah.
They're gonna muck it up, I think, the best way possible, and hope that they're if they can keep it close, that their top 2 guys can outshine our 5 guys that we been going with. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. My only thought was like maybe whether it's zone or if it's just how they play their man, do they just dare us to shoot threes? Like, is that their only play? Because if they let the Wolves get to the paint, they're losing. Like,
Yeah,
they can't. We're gonna shoot a higher percentage, and or it's just like. And then on the offense, I don't know what else they do because again, like even Aaron Gordon coming back, if he were to play tomorrow, he's got a calf strain. Wasn't
yeah,
his other injury hamstring
yeah,
related? Like, these are not good injuries for, you know, soft tissue, this, that, but, like, I just until they get some I think in the offseason, they need to address another guard that can
yeah.
do something else, like, you know, just can get to the rim, but I don't know, man. I just I keep watching, I'm like, I don't know what Denver's play is here, and honestly, it's maybe a good regular season game because there is a lot less effort on defense, and you can kinda carve people up, and Murray's probably getting tons of open jumpers. I mean, he had his best year of his career, but
Hmm.
in the playoffs, he looks like he did 2 years ago. He
Hmm.
looks like physicality's just just crushing him. They're tired. They only get 1 day of rest. But I do think they're gonna bring they have to, right? Like they championship pedigree. Like so
Yeah.
I think they keep it close, but I still think I think the Wolves might take a 3-1 lead, and I still won't feel good. I still won't feel good in game
Not until
5
it's
'cause I'm
over.
a
Not until it's
Minnesota
over.
sports fan.
Not until it's over. I think one thing too, just really quick, like with that offensive thing, I was just popped in my mind when you were going through the list of things that they could maybe do is the one thing they haven't done yet is just try to get Jokic in like an old school post up touch, just like right outside that block and just see
Yeah,
what happens from there. Um, Try to get maybe Rudy in foul trouble by just
yeah.
isolating them in that spot. That's the only thing I feel like I haven't seen a large amount of that could maybe cause some problems for us because then we have to double if Rudy's on the floor because you kind of it's not a good spot for us to be. But they haven't really done a lot of that. So, um,
Right.
but yeah, it's gonna be a fun one for sure. This next one, no matter what.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that might be the play is if they can get Rudy in foul trouble because was it game 2 where Jokic was like 20 points against non when Rudy wasn't on him and he had like
Mhm.
4 when Rudy was on him, and I think that's just they got to find a way to attack Rudy and get him in foul trouble. I did like what they were doing when they were doing like a pin down for Jokic,
Yeah,
just getting Rudy a half step behind to start when Jokic touches it. I thought that was interesting because it is a little bit different look versus the Murray Jokic pick and roll, which he's kind of dialed in the defensive
yeah,
assignment there. So the other thing they do sometimes that is interesting and has worked, but I feel like we've seen it enough is the inverted pick and roll
yeah.
where they screen for Jokic. But if he's gonna go 2 for 10 from 3, like, that ain't gonna cut it either. He's gonna need to make 5 or 6 of them for anything to really change with that either, so, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think the Wolves just need to stay disciplined. That's
Yep.
we talk about it all year. Everybody who watches them knows this. If they get a little complacent and a little bit, lackadaisical on defense, that's when these backdoor cuts and, you're not paying attention. Like, Ant is notorious for not seeing his man off the ball, and Cam Johnson hits a couple threes, it gets going, like then things can change a little bit. But they just if they stay locked in, um, I think it's tough for Denver. But that's a serious question with this Wolves team.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I think this game needs to be treated. I'm sure the staff has already probably said this. Is like this is a game 7. This next one because if you get this one,
Yeah.
they got to beat you 2 out of 3 times, and um, you have one of those games at home, and that's just going to be, yeah, that's going to be pretty much game over at that point.
I mean, the other side of it is like the maturity of being in the playoffs multiple years. You have to understand how important it is to finish a series as soon as possible
Yes.
because Ant needs rest. Like Rudy took a few games off going into the playoffs, and look how fresh he looks. Randall had some time off there. Like if you can wrap in 5, like not guaranteeing anything like that at all, but like, and Portland is just battling the crap out of the Spurs, like that matters to have 3 extra days off. And so whether or not they have that maturity level to really just put the boot on the throat here, I don't know if they're still there yet. But the response last night I thought was impressive coming off the Jaden comments, and maybe they've turned a corner on that regard, like just being able to just go for the jugular here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an
That
Ant game. Maybe it's an Ant 45, 50
haven't had
point
one
game.
yet.
No, and
That
he
would
got
be.
some rest the other night.
That would be, and that would be a sign of this team maturing, and they have. I feel like over the last couple of years, but in my playoff preview, I did the scouting report. I predicted Wolves in 5, and I felt insane for saying that, but I just felt it in my gut just looking at both those teams. So that'd be fun if that was the case, but I don't. My brain's telling me that it might go a little bit further than that, but I guess that's why they play the games.
I love it though. Like all the ESPN people predict the Nuggets win. Like Wolves have been using that in the bulletin board or
Hmm.
whiteboard. They don't use bulletin boards, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, Wolves in 5. You really zag. I mean, I like
I,
it. I know the fans were chanting it last night. I didn't know you
yeah.
were ahead of the curve on it.
I think I'm just a little like I always approach everything from like a super like optimistic point of view of things, and that's just like kind of my Minnesota fandom in general. Like, it is definitely a zag in our history.
Yeah. I mean, the last 2 games, it looks like a 5-game series. Like
Yeah.
they've overwhelmed them. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Derek, this was awesome. What do you want to plug? You got the SideLine Vibes podcast. Anything else going on that people should know about?
Otherwise, like during the series here and during the playoffs, I like I said, I do like a little what I call a crunch time report, which is on my Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram. You can find me on all those at Crunch with 2 H's. The old mascot, that's why I came up with it. It's so stupid. I don't know why I did it, but anyways, I do like a series counter report before every series. I've done this for like the last couple of years. Really super detailed. If you're a basketball sicko that likes like just like the X's and O's of stuff of that, take a look at it. It's I put probably way too many hours into trying to write this up, but I enjoy doing it because I coach in my full-time job. I'm a teacher and a coach, and I coach basketball, and I don't do the level of like narrative stuff that I do at the Scouting Report, but I enjoy doing this during the playoffs because it kind of keeps my skills sharp when I go into my actual job of that. And I do some preview stuff that you might see on Twitter and Instagram, where I break it down from game to game. Other than that, SideLine Vibes. I try to cover like just the fun parts of like Minnesota sports. The goal is to change the narrative of Minnesota sports fandom by just kind of looking at it from a coaching perspective and just a positive perspective in general, with more optimism, because we, as Minnesota fans, probably have not felt a lot of that over the years, and that's fair. But let's change that narrative. Let's say Wolves in 5. Let's do it.
I like it. Let's go. Wolves in 5. That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need more positivity. So appreciate you bringing those positive vibes. That's awesome. Well, thanks again for joining. Maybe we'll talk soon. And you know what? I got to have you back. We'll talk high school hoops next season.
That
would be fun for sure. Yeah.
Well,
awesome. Well, thanks, Derek.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. All right. Really appreciate Derek Long joining the podcast today to talk Timberwolves. Really unique perspective, similar to me in that coaching style and background. So it was really fun to have him on. Appreciate him. And make sure you give him a follow on Instagram at Croonch, Croonch, and on the SideLine Vibes podcast. Appreciate you all listening. Thank you for being here. Go Wolves, Game 4, Saturday night, Target Center. Appreciate you. This has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again. Whoa.